Katarina. Hi and warmly welcome to Academy Soul to Soul. And today I'm thrilled and happy to have Nancy LABOV with me. And hi Nancy, warmly welcome.
Hello, warmly welcome to you too, Asha.
Hello. I met Nancy for a couple of times when we have been at the same courses, and I'm very interesting in what you do, so that's what I would like to talk with you about, and also how you are and everything. So I start with a very direct question about how is your passion at the moment, Nancy? What's your passion in life at the moment?
You know, it's quite interesting, Asa, because as with everybody, I think we've all been shifting in the last few months. And, where am I going with that? Where are all of us going with our shifts? The last few months has been one big time out. Everybody's been sent to their rooms, and I I have spent time to correct parts of just corrective measures and allow myself to be still, allow myself to reflect. And that's been a really nice pause, very nice pause. I don't think my passion has changed any from wanting to, it's just how can I best be of service to the world? I really always just want to be able to be available, and the thing is I think by taking care of myself, I'm more available. Mm-hmm. So right now we have just been starting up again with Alumni in Recovery, which is the name of the nonprofit organization I started about 5.5 years ago.
Yeah,
and there's a couple different layers to it now. It's actually a movement. It's changed. It was originally just young people. I would find young people in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
To go in and speak in schools that they were familiar with.
Yeah.
Hence the name Alumni in Recovery. I having worked in the field of addictions as a nurse and as a counselor for many, many years, plus being in recovery for the last 30 some years. This is actually my anniversary month, so I'll be 31.
It is.
And,
wow.
Yeah. And coming from a family riddled with alcoholism, I have it's dear to my heart. That it's something that I know that I have a lot of information about it. So I know that I can, I'm one of those people that can be of service in this field. Mm. But about 5.5 years ago, I realized that there was an abundance of young people now in recovery due to the fact of the opioid crisis. Yeah. More people were, if they didn't die, were showing up in the rooms, the 12-step recovery rooms. Mm-hmm. They were showing up in treatment, and I had an opportunity to work with them in treatment, and so I could see that things were changing and shifting in that way. So I realized that these young people had something I could help them have a platform of which to share their stories with others. Yeah. What I know about 12-step recovery, Bill Wilson, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. Mm. You're familiar with Bill Wilson's story?
A little bit, yes.
All right. Well, Bill Wilson, he was the founder. So what happened was he needed to stay sober. He didn't have a, he created it, so there was no program, but he found that, he didn't want to drink one night, and he found another man who was Dr. Bob Smith in Ohio when he was on business, and he didn't want to drink, but he found through calling people, who can I talk to, who can I meet with, and somebody said, meet with him. because he needs help, because that's what he found was helpful, is if he helped another person stay sober, that he would stay sober, right?
Yeah.
So my point being is that that's how it began, was him and Bob, Bill and Bob. But Bill and Bob realized that they needed to help others because it was just them. So what was discovered was that people that seemed incurable and impossibly doomed, due to alcoholism, that they could go in, and by sharing their story, that person's heart would connect to them.
Yeah.
And they would see something differently because that person was speaking their story. So that's how it began. And that's why it was successful, was story to story. Mm. So here we go. I figured that if young people are having such issues with pills, because they were abusing pills, that the best person to be able to talk to kids in schools was young people that are on the other side of it, in the recovery side of addiction.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, wouldn't it be something if I could actually match the person that might have gone to their school, with them? Because there's that many. I live in New Jersey, and I don't know what it's like in Sweden, but the population's huge. So there was a lot of people that I could begin to network with and connect and pull in to see if they were interested. Because I know when I was young, I got sober when I was 26. I had no other way, Asa. When I was young and 13 years old, I was depressed and anxious. I did not belong anywhere. Mm-hmm. My family, my mother had her own alcohol problem, and it was very chaotic home. And I didn't know what, I didn't even know what to think of myself. And I never thought I'd pick up a drink. I never thought that. And, but sure enough, when the time came, Asa, that I wanted to have, people that seemed to be kind of popular, came along, and I, was swooped up into this crowd. Mm. They're drinking and smoking pot. And one night, and I felt I had no other choice. I felt that I had to, because I needed to belong somewhere.
Yeah.
And so that's, I never had any other way. I didn't know any other way. Nobody ever pointed out any other way for years. And until I reached, somebody that had walked the path.
Yeah.
And showed me the way out.
And saw you.
So that's why I felt it was important that these young people want to go speak in schools. Because I would like to go speak in schools, but I'm old now, Asa. I'm 57 years old. Kids don't want to listen to me. I'm their mom, at best.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, so these young people were through the goodness of their heart, through guidelines. So they all have like a formatted way to tell their story, to keep it to point, go in and speak in schools they're familiar with.
Yeah.
And that's how it began.
How was the response with the kids in the schools when the young people were coming in there and talking directly to them?
They listened, and their teachers would say, "My goodness, I've never seen them listen so in depth."
Yeah,
and we got so much feedback that way, and because someone's sharing their story. We connect, right? We connect to those pieces that resonate with us, that, oh, I'm like that. So they go in and they talk about their feelings of where they were at when they were that age, that the feelings that they were feeling. Because in recovery, when you hit recovery, you have to begin to search deep within you to understand why you even use substances to begin with. Yeah. It's always something it just doesn't feel right. You're trying to fill. So they were talking to them about things about how they felt when they were 12, 13, 14, 15, and kind of families they came from, and so that those kind of things registered because they were talking their language.
It's amazing, isn't it? So how has this evolved? I mean, this foundation that you are working with, is it groups that meets continuity so they can be in recovery and progress, or what's the intention with your work and the company?
So
It's not a company, it's a foundation, isn't it?
yeah, it's an organization.
It's an
It's a non
organization. That's the right
yeah,
word.
it's a nonprofit organization,
Mm.
and little by little, schools were embracing having these young people come in, because there's such a stigma around addiction.
Yeah.
And people are so concerned that the wrong message will get out. They don't, but I was like, no, these people are in recovery, and once people are in recovery, they change. They just change. It's a psychic change,
Yeah.
they start to become whole and different. They're not the people that were using, which was like an archetypal pattern, but they begin to deconstruct that through 12-step recovery. Basically, it's really the probably the most successful way to recover from drugs and alcohol. But so they were afraid. Some of them were afraid to embrace bringing back some students that they were familiar with, because they acted so bad back in the day. But but once they came in, it's like the Wizard of Oz when Dorothy lands, and so beautiful, because they're like, it opens their heart to something completely different. They
Yeah.
see the full person, they see and no, the thing is there's really very little organizations of people in recovery to do this work, because Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous is an anonymous program. They tend to stay in their basements, in the church basements, in their anonymous clubhouse. And that's good. Not, this is different. This is a layer out.
Yeah.
It's not Alcoholics Anonymous. It's not Narcotics Anonymous. It is not going against any of their traditions. So anyway, so we have meetings occasionally too, like every couple of months, to get together and talk about what we're doing, sign up for, speaking commitments at schools, and have dinner. My husband started making dinner for everybody. So we always have these dinner meetings. And so that was fabulous. And then we opened up to what we have is called a parent program, because somebody approached us and asked us if we'd speak to parents one evening. And we're like, yeah, sure. And I realized that where we have a peer-to-peer approach with the kids in schools, in the adult world, they needed to have a peer. So I knew of a woman in particular who lost her son to a heroin overdose. And I knew she was already speaking to people. So I approached her and asked her if she'd want to help us speak to parents at night alongside the young person in recovery. So now you have the grieving community and the recovering community together, doing something in a platform speaking approach about the disease of addiction and how it affects us. So we now have a parent program. So let's say, our young people, our young members, I call them our air members, but it's really A&R now. But anyway, our alumni in recovery members, we have about 70 that have been involved with us, and about 50 that we kind of keep in a loop. Yeah. And then we have a lot of people, but then with our parent program members, we have about 30 of them and 20 dedicated. So it's just a way that people can take and turn their pain into purpose. The parents that have lost their kids to addiction, and we specifically use them because it allows them to have a voice. Sometimes if they're family members, we include a sibling that has lost their brother or sister to addiction too, but we keep it based on family and the loss, because I don't know what it's like in Sweden, but and during COVID, they haven't been keeping good count, probably, because it's not in the news as much.
No.
But last year there was like 62,000, which was down from 70,000 the year before in the United States that had died from drug overdoses. And in New Jersey, the deaths in my own county were like 700 last year. It's I think that's right, but it's just, and people don't talk about it. And so there's this whole level of people not talking. So the thing is that this is a way that people can start a conversation. So what we found, though, can I go on? Is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. There's really a very little conversation going on here.
No, but it's not a problem at all, because it's so interesting, and I'm building pictures when you talk. So it's so interesting. I love it. Talk more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what was interesting with the school-based program, and we did like 80 presentations last year in the New Jersey area. There's, it's a very heavy populated area. We have 70 schools in 70 high schools in Bergen County alone, which is where I'm from, not including the other counties. And we've branched out to other counties. Yeah. But we did like 80 presentations, and some of them were evening presentations. But what we found is that with the evening presentations, people weren't showing up. There might be 5 people tops that would show up for an evening presentation. And it was discouraging, because we're like, how can we get people to come to this? Yeah. Because there's a saying, and I don't know if it's the same saying in Sweden, but it's there's a saying that they say, not in my backyard, and so meaning that it's not their problem. They're not going to be, I don't have that problem. It's not going on in my household. So that's that. But each and every parent will say that I didn't think that would happen to me either. This, came out of the blue. We thought we were the perfect family, so we got this. Yeah. And so anyway, so how do we get people in? So we came up with yet another tier of our organization, which is called the community-based events. And that allows the community, like towns, to embrace us and host us to come at the same place, same time, every 4 months, or every 3 months. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Every 3 months we'll show up at that same place, which creates regularity. Because what I found with this disease process is people don't know how to put their hands on it. Mm-hmm. They don't know what to do with it. Like people in emergencies will rise to the occasion. They will rise to the occasion. They will throw money at you, clothing, whatever is needed to help with the emergency, right? Yeah. Well, yeah. This is an emergency in America. It's a national emergency, but nobody recognizes it as that. It's never on the news. It's never, it's not reported on regularly. And the thing is that people want to be able to help, but they don't know what to do, because it's such a elusive disease process. It's in the mind. That how do they help? Well, show up. Come to these community-based events. Please come, sit down, show up, be a part of this. Be a part of the informational process. It's a beginning, and that's how you can take action. And we incorporate food. People donate food to it, like restaurants, and we get the police involved to say stuff from the towns, and the mayors to say stuff from the towns. But we open it up with the story. So people are coming now, but it starts with the story. So we have like a parent and 2 young members, let's say, speaking a story to the people, and it allows them to understand it better because they're hearing a story. People usually don't get to hear any of this and students don't get to hear this from young people in recovery, because basically when you finally start hearing these things is when you're in such trouble and crisis. Yeah. But this is a preventable disease. Preventable. People don't have to become active addiction. So it's a way to at least begin the conversation. And it was working and then COVID happened, and then
yeah. So now the meetings are settled for a while, I assume then.
Yes. So because of the COVID situation, everything went silent.
Yeah.
And just out of the blue, it was like, whoa, because we were on a roll. Like towns were picking us up because they saw that this was a way, an avenue of how they could help others. Because everybody was experiencing the same thing. It's, you have these things for addiction and nobody shows up. Truthfully. So we were like finding this was a way that we worked together, collaborate together, everybody, to be able to embrace the story, embrace the resources that are there, to say, hey, we can offer help, and we were just pulling everybody in the community and connecting us, and that's the beautiful thing about this, because this disease does not discriminate. So everybody on some level can understand that feeling of soul sickness in their heart. And so it opens up doors beyond belief. I believe that this is such a key to healing addictions in America, is through these community-based events. We've gotten so far away from community-based anything that, people don't go to church like they used to. People are so sucked into the internet and social media that we spend so much time, as Brene Brown would say, in our bunkers, that we don't engage. We're not engaging. We're separate. We think that we're separate, but we're really not. We're all connected.
And it's amazing. It's amazing to hear your story here, to tell about it, and it's because it's such an energy in it, and I can actually feel the intense with it and how people get engaged with it. And as you said, when it comes to addiction, it hits everyone. It goes behind race, age, economy, status. It goes everywhere, and everyone starts to say, it will never happen to me.
No, I didn't think it was going to happen to me. Remember, I said, I'm never going to use.
No,
I'm never going to be like my mother or my sister. I was like, no, not me. But sure enough, I had no other solution.
Yeah. So this can really bond. It's a amazing. If I have to say that, it's an amazing platform, and it's amazing part of people's experience to bond from, isn't it? Because it goes beyond everything else. It doesn't matter how much money you have on the bank, if you are black or green or man or young or whatever. You can meet and you can connect, and there is an understanding there, and an energy for compassion, and it's great. I get so inspired to hear you talk about it, and now when you have had an opportunity, even if you were forced into it, to back off for a little while and see it from another perspective, where do you feel and see that it can take off afterwards and go ahead? You
want to know?
Yeah.
I've come up with some ideas. I mean, it was funny. It was like there was no fire, and then all of a sudden it started sparking. And so here's the beauty of it. I realized that since we're 3 different tiers of our organization, so we have like 125 people like somehow involved with us. I turned over the student programs to a director of a young person that's been involved with us, and she is now, as of a couple of weeks ago, the director of the student programs, which is great because it allows. She's young. She was a member. And now she's taken on this role to allow the young people to begin taking responsibility for that program. So between her and this young man that came on board that is an intern to do media production, and another young woman who's a member that does social media, and another young woman who wanted to, two other women. They have all tried to promote and encourage Zoom participation right now, and they're working. We introduced them as, one's technical programmer, we have a team that's now sprouted out, and they're all young. They're not me. They're not, any of the parent members. It's the young people are starting to take charge of that program. So because we're in this space where we don't even know how schools will, want to have public meetings in their assemblies, that this is a time when they can begin to re-evaluate, reconstruct, reform, our speaking presentations within schools. And I can step back. I'm there, but I step back and let the young people do it now, which I've always wanted them to do. I wanted to be autonomous and not like a dictatorship, and so I've stepped back on that. So that's one change. And the second change, and that just happened during this period of time, this last couple months. The second change is, since we can't do anything public really, we have one woman. I wish I had a picture of what she does with me. I didn't know what I'd be talking about, but she has what's called the Black Poster Project. And she's one of our parent members. And she came on board last August on National Overdose Awareness Day, which is August 31st. She put up all these posters of young people in the area that have passed away from addiction. And she put them up at an event that was happening in a town near me. But it wasn't an Alumni in Recovery event. But that's how I met her. She was telling her son's story, and how it affected them. But she had all these posters. So since then, she's created 125 of these posters. And, and anybody that wants to get involved, she's like, here's the contract. You just sign it. You don't have to, no money's attached to it. But if you would like your loved one to be part of this moving presentation, of posters. So the Black Poster Project is going to do a silent memorial throughout the National Overdose Awareness Month of August. And it requires no public forum. It just requires a space that maybe a town or a church. And there's kind of funny about that because they don't even know if they want people to come into like a closed area. But even we could set them up outside, and we've got a couple towns involved already where people can pass through social distance wise and reflect on these people
and honor them
and see, because it makes it a reality. It becomes tangible. They can see the impact. So that's what we're doing to raise awareness again, because we have not been able to raise any awareness, understandably so, with the state of affairs of our country. Our world. Hello, our world is shifting and changing, and some very important issues have been happening. But this too is a very important issue, and this will be a great way to get us talking again. We need to talk. If we could put the same kind of energy into this that we put into the way we took care of ourselves and others during the COVID situation. We could be cured. We could be healed, the same kind of energy, the same kind of media, everything. It just needs to have light on it. It's such a dark area that needs a lot of light, just like you do.
I love the light, but now it was too... I have a little... small...
It's evening, it's sunset over there.
But it's amazing, because I agree with you, Nancy, because the COVID period of time for all of us around the globe it has increased the change in a good way. I think a lot of good ways will come out of it, because things are changing. Even if it's very dramatic for many people, they lose their jobs from one day to another. And you get sick and you die. and companies go bankruptcy and everything, but it's like it's forcing up a big change, and from this something else will come out, which I believe is very, very great, and it feels very good, even
It
if
sure
it feels
does.
strange to say that, but it's my feeling with it. We get helped in a way, forced through this to come to another understanding and see things from other perspectives and so on. What's your opinion about that? How do you feel that process is going on in America at the moment?
Well, we have the protests and the Black Lives Matter movement, very, very much at an absolute eruption of a volcano that was just waiting to erupt.
Yeah.
And I believe that one of the reasons, that's just my take on it, that that there's so much that it's just civil unrest. It's like a revolution right now in America, and it's because I believe that the COVID situation, kind of allowed for that eruption. The eruption, and there's so many people that there are many people, as you know, and this is systemic. They're driven by fear, and what the fear factor has created a lot of unrest, as where there's many people though that they have been embracing for a very long time a spiritual journey, and a spiritual journey in working on creating good within themselves to others too, and that has evolved for a long time, and it's kind of like, all right, it's time to put into action everything that we've practiced this long. And I believe, and I have a feeling you believe too, I'm not sure, I'm just presuming, that our light can touch others and put light on darkness. And so I have to hold that space for grace.
Yeah.
And everything will fall into place. It's not my doing, not my saying, although I do have an organization that I am responsible for, and people are coming up with some ideas that can spring forth to allow us to now move on to something that really needs to be addressed and hasn't. It hasn't.
No.
We don't march in the streets, but it needs to be addressed, and we find ways through many, many different people in different towns and different spaces within the country. We try to connect with each other. But the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's just, it was waiting to erupt since the Civil War of America.
It feels like we really need to talk honestly about things. We try to wrap it up in nice things or explanations why or what will come next or whatever. But instead of just say as it is and use the words that everyone knows. So and it goes so for many things. I think in society we have smarten it up and wrap it up and create it to be something else that it's not, and people don't feel connected to it. But just by honesty and to meet in that energy, I think the great revolution will be, because we need, every revolution starts from inside, doesn't it? And not anyone else telling you what to do. It has to come from the inside.
Well said.
And I think a lot of us are sensing that, and we rise together in a way, and that makes it so strong and such a big impact. So it's just happens. You can't go against it. You can't stop it. Something has started. It's a feeling I have about that.
Me too. I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
Because people can't. I was always afraid. Like when I was younger, in my more immature, I didn't really want people to express anger. I was like what they call a light chaser. But it's so important for people to be able to express and say what's inside them so they can get to another place.
Mm-hmm.
And back to how I can weave this back into what I do with Alumni in Recovery and what we do, I should say. It's not me, it's a we. But that, it's this, again, it's someone's story from their heart and their journey and in the right perspective, an honest appraisal of your journey, allows others to connect and join in to everything. Right?
Yeah. And I think also it's important not to be so anxious about reaching a certain result. We are so oriented to solve things that just meet where we are and let the process go where it's have to go or go nowhere. Just be in that instead of just start to create things and force things because we want something to change. We want something else. We can't stay here in this feeling. We can't stay with this because it's painful. And I think we have to stop running, and it feels like people has run enough and want to stay. And if we stay together in it, I mean, that's also a way to connect and come together and to be strong and to overcome things and to also actually have an opportunity to learn from things and embrace it and to realize that it's a part of who we are. We can't escape from that. And
it's so true.
We are the same. We can see that in each other, and it's not a shame. It's nothing to blame. It's nothing to hide or run from. It's a place where we can meet actually and heal.
Isn't that something? And here we are through the coronavirus where we had to stop running.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to run anywhere. And we were all forced to take a time out.
Yeah.
A big time out. And some people, kicked and screamed, I'm sure. And some of us, went with the flow and allowed ourselves to go into, there's a word I heard, the internet.
Internet. That was a good word, wasn't it?
I know. I didn't come up with it, but we were going into the internet, and isn't that something?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
But at the same time, we've got like a revolution on our hands, especially in America right now.
Yeah.
But they had to all go in that internet before it. Yeah. So I think it's really meant to be. Yeah. And I'm actually proud of America for doing it.
Yeah. And it's like enough is enough. And it starts, as you said, from an inner point of power from everyone, and then it's unstoppable because it's coming from a point where we all are connected and coming from the power inside. So no, enough is enough.
The collective soul.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop this BS and do it in another way. Yeah.
Really something. Yeah. That's just been a wonderful conversation, Asa.
I love this, and I would love to come back and doing a follow-up because I'm so interested in. I feel so much, and I feel I'm engaged and touched by the work you do there, and the people in your organization. What you complete together. What do you say? What's the word in English? What you manage together. Yeah.
What we basically collaborate on together.
Yes, what you create together there. It's
you are amazing. I love you. Speak the best English ever. I don't speak Swedish at all, so I have to be in admiration of you. But I will share my email with you on Facebook, and the reason why is because if we get a video made, I'm looking towards somebody to create a video of what's going on in August. I will share it with you. If that, hopefully
absolutely.
I'm sure it'll come about. I just, I have to get it together.
Yeah, I would love to, and I would love to come back and do a following up, as I said. So, thank you very much, Nancy, for your time and for your passion and what you do out there in the world.
Thanks, Asa. I just want to tell you that if people in Sweden are interested, or anybody or anywhere can create one of these programs, an alumni in recovery program themselves. You know, it's like I could give them the guidelines. I mean, it's simple. It just takes a couple of people in recovery that want to go back and speak to people in schools mostly. But just saying, you know.
I would like to have more information about that, so I can bring that forward to people that I know could be very, very interesting in that. So
I'll give you my I'll tap in on Facebook. I'll give you my website so you could look at it and stuff like that, and our page or whatever. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Nancy, for today, and I come back to you very soon, I hope.
You're the best, Asa. It was such a pleasure being able to speak with you. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye, Asa. Have a good evening.
The same to you.
Okay.